So we're going to talk a little bit about what made us do what we
should
did.
announce it by
No, we're going to talk first
Okay.
and then announce it at the big minute.
It's going to be either number 1 or number 2.
So go.
All of you who had music that you may have been following may have noticed certain characteristics that a committee is going to react to. For instance, not really counting very accurately in Firebird, particularly at the end where things get a little frantic and you want to try to stay a little more steady. There were also some note discrepancies between the part and what we heard occasionally. Those are on the negative side. There were some very good things. The Brahms, for those of you who are looking forward to being on the audition circuit and your teachers have bugged you all the time about that A, B, it's pretty clear when you hear it, right? I mean, it's either right or wrong, and it is important that those intervals match and are in tune in relation to what's going on. I will only speak for myself that when somebody starts Brahms 3 and keeps getting kind of loud, yes, we lead the chorale, but there's no reason that it has to be loud. And shaping the phrase is fine, but it has to always get back to, it's really a piano solo.
I would say, for me in Firebird, there's only one good way to be able to know that you're counting the rests correctly. First of all, you have to consider them as important in your practice as you do the moving notes. It sounded to me like a lot of people had practiced this, and hadn't spent enough time being aware of the time involved in all of the rests, no matter how short they are. And you must have the orchestra in your head. If you don't have the pulse of the orchestra and you're not hearing all that sound in your imagination while you're playing, it's very difficult to stay with the correct rhythm. And I can guarantee anyone listening to an audition who's in an orchestra who's played that piece a lot will have it in their head. So if you're coming in early all the time, then you're stomping on what they haven't finished playing in their mind, and they know you're not counting correctly. And I would say that no one played Firebird accurately as far as the counting. Would you agree with that?
I agree.
I mean, we had to leave that alone to choose our winner. We just took that out of the mix because no one did it correctly. And of course, that would mean you would be eliminated in a real audition. That's the difference between this and a real audition.
This is a real audition. In an audition where we're offering a job.
Well, yeah, for a job where it's yes or no. Yes or no is the final answer. And I agree otherwise very much with everything you said about Brahms. You know, when you teach a lot of students a lot of times and you find yourself repeating the same thing over and over and over, you start to get this glassy-eyed look from the student like, yeah, I've heard it before, I've heard it before, I've heard it before. But it's true, it's really true. It really has serious impact at the time when you want to actually win a job and have a career, so you have to take that seriously. There were a lot of good things in the playing today. And unfortunately, when you're sitting in the back room deciding, you say, yeah, there's a lot of really good things. They did this nicely, they did that nicely. But mostly you go to how well done was it? Rhythmically, with the pitch, with a beautiful sound, with musical expression that's appropriate for the piece, good dynamics, reaction to the room, reaction to instructions you're given, that kind of thing. That's what makes a big difference.
It is possible that on occasion in a job or playing in an orchestra, you would have to play music that is so wildly contrasting close to one another. But it's probably much more true in an audition. And I wouldn't underestimate the difficulty of being able to switch from the psychology of having to play the Firebird and then going to the Brahms. Not only that you're changing clarinets, but that you have a whole different concept of what you're trying to do musically and what you're trying to do tonally. And in your preparation, I think it's probably worth a little bit of time trying to think about this, because if you can allow maybe 5-10 seconds in between excerpts, you can give yourself a chance to sort of get into the piece a little bit more. And I think it's very difficult. And there's probably nothing more contrasting than these two that we asked at the end. So it makes it even doubly hard, especially because of the order that they were in.
I don't have anything particular. I agree with that, especially one of my pet peeves is the Brahms third lack of legato when we hear a little push in the middle of individual notes. And there was some of that, but and then the tuning issue. When I see someone with their bell buried between their knees, I can almost be certain that those notes are not going to be in tune. You have to make sure that the bell is clear of your knees for that passage.
And you have to remember, when you're taking a professional audition, you know, we have 4 clarinetists here listening. We know that going from A to B is difficult. When you play a professional audition, I mean, for 2 of the CSO auditions, I was the only clarinetist on the committee. For one, there were 2 of us. The rest of the committee doesn't really give a darn what's hard on the clarinet. They're listening to us saying, that interval's out of tune. So,
don't hire that person.
you know, because it doesn't really matter which instrument you play, you can hear pitch. And you don't care of and it's actually one of the strengths of a committee that is made up of players who aren't all just clarinet players, is they don't really care of the difficulties we have on the instrument. They want to know, can you play music?
Does anybody have any questions before we...
Let me just add one thing about the pitch, because I think sometimes we forget this as well. It's true, the A's oftentimes and B's sounded out of tune, but what we hear is not the melody when we're listening, we hear the intervals. And I think, at least on my clarinet, a lot of times the D is oftentimes very sharp. So if the A is in tune or a little bit low, that's going to be exaggerated a little bit more. So be careful of where the note before it, so that you hear the interval as well being in tune. You could change it in 2 different ways, obviously.
Questions now? Anybody have any questions? Okay.
Congratulations to all of you who played. It takes a lot of nerve to do it, especially in front of people and in front of a camera. I don't know if you were aware that there's a camera here. And so we applaud your efforts, we applaud all the work you put into it, and you all did very well. And now, Rose?
Did you announce the winner?
No?
Oh, would you
I
like
thought
to?
you were going to.
Yes, we are going to. Actually, Steve is going to do it since he's going to present the cash prize, which is being sponsored by Van Doren.
Hello, I'm Steve. I'm with Van Doren. How you guys doing today? Your winner today is David Lemon. One more thing, David, I'm going to award you with a mouthpiece, your choice of mouthpiece, ligature, and a box of reeds as well. So come by and see me at the booth. And for the panel, please come and see me as well. I've got some reeds for you as well. Cool. Okay? Great. Congratulations.